This recording was created through co-production with families of children with additional needs and early years practitioners in our county of Suffolk. It includes information about resources and organisations that they felt would help families to choose the right setting for their child. Parents may choose childcare for a variety of different reasons. Childcare can help children on a social and developmental level. Sometimes parents want to work or do some training or just need some time to themselves. There are lots of different types of childcare to choose from, and it can feel a bit overwhelming. And if parents suspect that their child has additional needs, they are naturally anxious to know their needs will be supported. You want to know that your child will be safe and happy and looked after. Choosing childcare is a hugely important decision for the whole family, and this video aims to give you a background understanding to build your confidence when looking for the right setting for your child. So this recording will explore the different types of early years settings. We'll look at the responsibilities for settings and the local authority for children who may have additional needs, and we'll explore what to consider, what information you can share, and what you may like to ask when you are looking at settings for your child. The Early Years Foundation Stage Framework is the legal framework for children's early education aged 0 to 5 years. And this framework is clear that every child deserves the best possible start in life and the support that enables them to fulfill their potential. So let's start by looking at the different types of early years provision. There are two main types of childcare: home-based childcare and group-based. Home-based childcare includes registered childminders, childcare in a home environment, and the care of a nanny. Group-based childcare includes day nurseries, playgroups, preschools, and a school nursery. Let's just look at home-based childcare first. Registered childminders are self-employed childcare professionals who work in their own homes, caring for other people's children. They care for small numbers with a maximum of 6 children and often care for a range of ages from babies to school-aged children. Childminders can be flexible and offer patterns of childcare to support many families. They are able to take easy advantage of real-life experiences like outings to the park or to a library. Just like other forms of registered childcare, they are regulated and inspected by Ofsted. Some childminders are able to offer fully funded early education sessions for 2, 3 and 4-year-olds. Nannies are employed by you to look after your children in your own home. They care for small numbers of children, usually siblings, and can take care of all aspects of looking after your child, including caring for their clothes and possessions and cooking their food. Some families agree a nanny share arrangement where the nanny offers childcare to more than one family. Group provision can vary a lot in terms of the times they are open, so it's helpful to think about what you need for your child. For example, do you need care all year round or only in term time? What days of the week and hours will you need childcare for? And what kind of flexibility are you looking for? Will you need an early morning start in order for you to get to work, for example? And will you need a lunch club? Questions like these will help you to choose whether a day nursery, preschool, playgroup or school nursery class is best for you or your child. This is a very individual choice. All local authorities must provide a family information service to give parents free and impartial advice about finding childcare and funded early education. They have details of all the local registered childcare providers, so they can tell you about the different types of childcare, the name and contact details of childcare providers. They can tell you their opening hours and any costs. Also, Ofsted's rating for the setting where this is available. They can explain the funded early education entitlement for 3 and 4-year-olds and help you find out if your child is eligible for funded 2-year-old education. and they can help you look for a breakfast or after-school or holiday club for your child. You can also use the Family Service Directory on Suffolk's local offer to find what childcare is available in your area. You can type in your postcode and select the type of childcare you're looking for, and then press search to find what is offered near you. The organisation PACEY is a professional association for childcare and early years, and they have a guide for helping parents to choose childcare, which you may find helpful. Childminders, day nurseries, preschools and nursery classes must all be registered with Ofsted or with a childminder agency. They must all follow the Early Years Foundation Stage framework and deliver the Early Years Foundation Stage curriculum. The Early Years Foundation Stage is the legal framework which sets the standards that all early years providers must meet to ensure that children learn and develop well and are kept healthy and safe, and this includes children with additional needs. Now, many parents who believe their child may have additional needs worry that this might be a barrier to finding the right childcare setting for them. All early years providers which offer fully funded places to eligible 2-year-olds and to 3 and 4-year-olds must meet the requirements of the SEND Code of Practice. This is statutory guidance which comes directly from the Children and Families Act of 2014. The SEND Code of Practice says that all early years providers are required to have arrangements in place to identify and support children with SEN and disabilities, and to promote equality of opportunity for children in their care. Under the Equality Act of 2010, a child cannot be excluded or denied a place due to health or developmental needs. Settings must provide an inclusive environment which reflects their duty to promote equality. All early years providers have duties under the Equality Act of 2010. As the SEND Code states, they must not discriminate against, harass or victimise disabled children, and they must make reasonable adjustments, including the provision of auxiliary aids and services for disabled children, to prevent them being at a substantial disadvantage. An auxiliary aid is anything which gives additional support or assistance to a disabled child, so this could be a piece of equipment like specialist seating or toilet aids, or it might mean specialist training or perhaps an adaptation to a building. All publicly funded early year providers must also promote equality of opportunity. The aims of the Early Years Foundation Stage framework include ensuring quality and consistency in all early years settings so that every child makes good progress and no child gets left behind, and also quality of opportunity so that there is no discrimination and every child is included and supported. All local authorities must take responsibility for all children in their area who have or may have special educational needs. They must set out provision in their local offer that they expect to be available for children with special educational needs or disabilities, or SEND, in the early years. Section 6 of the Childcare Act puts a duty on local authorities to make sure that there is sufficient childcare in their area to meet the needs of parents. Some families may experience difficulties finding childcare and accessing services for a number of reasons. A family or a professional can contact the Family Information Service to ask for a referral to the Childcare Brokerage Service. Under the Childcare Act of 2006, a local authority, or LA, must provide extra support for families to help them access childcare and other support services. Many local authorities like Suffolk offer a brokerage service where someone advises and negotiates on the behalf of someone else. Brokerage should involve support in securing an appropriate childcare place. It should offer guidance on local providers who have experienced staff and assistance in contacting childcare providers. This might include making telephone calls, arranging visits, and discussing any adaptations or training that might be needed to support a particular child. There is information on Suffolk's local offer about childcare for children with special educational needs or disabilities, or SEND, and this includes what early education providers must offer and what the law says. Some parents who contact our SENDIAS service aren't sure how they will know if their child will need extra help, so we're going to spend a few minutes exploring how a child's needs may be identified. Children with more complex developmental and vision or hearing needs may have these needs identified when they are born. This may be through a health assessment like the hearing screen test, which is used to check the hearing of all newborn babies. Some other children's needs are identified before they enter an early years setting during routine health checks, which we will be discussing in a minute. The SEND Code of Practice says that health services, including paediatricians, the family's GP, and health visitors, should work with the family and to support them to understand their child's needs and help them to access early support. The Children and Families Act makes clear that where a health body believes that a young child has or probably has special educational needs, they must inform the child's parents and bring the child to the attention of the local authority. They must give parents the opportunity to discuss their opinion and let parents know about any voluntary organisations that are likely to be able to provide advice or assistance. Under the Children's Act of 1989, local authorities must keep a register of disabled children in their area. This register allows them to send relevant information to families, including information about childcare. It's a good idea to join the register as soon as a disability becomes clear. You can speak to your health visitor or a social worker or Suffolk's Family Information Service about how to do this. Sometimes a child's needs only become clear as a child grows or when they are in an early years setting. And the SEND Code of Practice says, all those who work with young children should be alert to emerging difficulties and respond early. And the Code states that a clear approach to assessing special educational needs should be part of the setting's overall approach to monitoring the progress and development of all children. What if your child is waiting for a particular assessment? You don't have to wait for an assessment to share with an early years setting what you know about your child's difficulties and what support helps best. A diagnosis of a medical condition alone will not make any difference to the support a setting will offer. All support is led by a child's individual needs. An assessment report may, however, clarify a child's needs, but your knowledge will always be key. The SEND Code says, parents know their children best, and it is important that all practitioners listen and understand when parents express concerns about their child's development. The SEND Code makes clear that parents' early observations of their child are crucial, and we will shortly be looking at the kind of information that will be important for you to share as part of this process. So if you feel your child may need extra help, where do you start? When you have a short list of early years providers, it's a good idea to visit and talk to the SENCO, which stands for Special Educational Needs Coordinator. All maintained nursery schools must have a SENCO, and other providers are expected to identify one. Their role includes making sure that all the early years staff understand their responsibilities to children with SEN and making sure that parents are closely involved. Childminders are encouraged to identify a person to act as a SENCO. Childminders who are registered with a childminder agency or who are part of a network may wish to share the role between them. Remember, you are an expert on your child. You've been making adjustments to support your child since their birth. So think about, how do you get your child's attention? How do you help your child to refocus on something if they've lost attention? How do you support your child to prepare for something new or different, maybe a change to the usual routine? And don't forget to share what the best ways are to help your child to calm down if they are upset. It's helpful to make key notes to share on your visit to an earlier setting. So jot down what your child enjoys and their strengths, what they find difficult, and what you do at home and when you are out, which helps with these difficulties. Explain the best way to communicate with your child. If your child has little language, do you use any visuals or signs at home like PECs or Makaton? Or maybe you use a string of photos to explain a bedtime routine. And remember to share the best ways to help your child to calm down. Look around the setting when you visit and ask about the activities children routinely do. Do you anticipate any difficulties for your child in doing a particular activity or accessing a particular space? What do you think might help your child to take part? Ask the Senko if they have experience of supporting children who present in a similar way to your child. What kind of support did they find worked well? Can the setting show you examples of adjustments being made to support other children with additional needs? It's helpful to prepare some questions. These might include asking what training staff in the setting have. If your child needs particular health and/or care support, the setting may need to identify and access the training before your child starts, for example, to meet any medical or communication needs. You might like to ask how they would ensure that your child has the same quality play and learning opportunities as other children. Or it may be important for you to know who will communicate with you about your child, or how progress is recorded and shared with you. If your child has physical or sensory needs, talk to staff about whether you need an environment audit to be done by an appropriate professional who is working with your child. The setting may want to speak to and seek advice from an occupational therapist if large specialist equipment is required. In many cases, settings can make a request for specialist equipment. For a child with medical needs, you could ask about putting together an individual healthcare plan, or IHP. This is different from an education, health and care plan. An IHP records the key information about a child's medical needs, the actions that are required by staff in the setting to support your child effectively, who will provide the support, and when. It's important to think about how your child will start at the early years setting. Would they benefit from a settling in period? If so, talk to the settings you are visiting about how this might work. Some parents may prefer to build up the number of hours they leave their child for, increasing gradually. This can help everyone to get used to the new routine and for the key person at the childcare setting to get to know your child as well as take any necessary training. We're moving on now to thinking about getting ready for your child to start. Once you have chosen an early years setting, they will talk to you about when and how your child can visit. Tell them if your child finds going to new social environments difficult. You could ask to arrange a first visit when other children are not there and the setting is quiet. Some settings may offer you a home visit. This can be a good opportunity for them to get to know your child, including their specific needs, and talk through next steps. You and the setting could together decide whether it would be good for your child to have a special toy or object in the setting with them, or photos of their family or their pet. The setting may be able to provide a photo book that you can share with your child before they start. This will help them to become familiar with the environment, activities, and their key person. Each child in an early years setting must be assigned a key person who helps make sure that their care is tailored to their individual needs. It may be helpful to take your child to other social groups, like parent-toddler groups or stay and play, to help them gradually get used to being with other children. But what if you believe that your child may need a specialist setting? The majority of children with SEND are well supported in mainstream early years settings, including those with Education, Health and Care or EHC plans. Some children may need specialist provision where the service cares only for children with special educational needs or disabilities, or SEND. This may be considered as part of an EHC needs assessment or an annual review of an existing EHC plan. But for other children, early years practitioners usually do the referral paperwork with the support of the parents. If a child may have SEN which may need support which goes beyond the resources available to an early years setting for SEN support, then the family or the setting could request an EHC needs assessment. These help identify the education, health and care needs which are making it difficult for a child to learn and to access learning. They also identify the support which may be required to meet those needs. The law says that a local authority, or LA, must secure, that means do, an EHC needs assessment if it considers that the child or young person has or may have special educational needs, and it may be necessary for special educational provision to be made for them in accordance with an EHC plan. In other words, if the child is likely to need support which goes beyond the resources and advice routinely available to a setting to provide SEN support. A parent or carer or someone with parental responsibility or the setting can request an EHC needs assessment at any time. Other practitioners, like a therapist or a health visitor, can also raise your child with the local authority and say why they think an EHC needs assessment might be helpful. An EHC needs assessment is the first step towards getting an Education, Health and Care, or EHC plan. However, if a child has health or care needs but no special educational needs, an EHC needs assessment will not be agreed, as these assessments are all about unpicking the barriers to learning. We have lots of information and videos about the EHC process on our Suffolk Sendias website and YouTube channel, which you may find helpful. The Family and Childcare Trust has information for parents and carers on their website, which may help you, including videos and written testimonies of the experiences of parents of children who have additional needs. You may also like to explore the information for families on the PACEY website, the Professional Association for Childcare and Early Years. And finally, there is guidance for parents and carers on the Suffolk County Council website, which may help you. This video is made by Suffolk Sendias, but every county will have an impartial and confidential SEND information, advice and support service.